Greetings, Lewis, and welcome to another video. So, I've been looking at a lot of regional topping deck lists, mainly decks like Tier Elements, decks like Centurion, decks that I'm really interested in playing at the moment. And I came across a Centurion strategy that was playing an engine that I actually did think about playing in my strategy, but I kind of like scrapped it out of playing it in this version that I'm currently playing due to the nature of how the format is progressing. Uh, Despite me not thinking this engine is not that great at the moment, I can see some merit into actually playing it, and I feel like the more we move away from Snake Eye format, the more powerful this engine will become. And this doesn't apply just to Centurion, it actually applies to a lot of other decks. And in the future, with new strategies coming in both Legacy of Destruction, Battles of Legends, um, Infinite Forbidden, we might see this engine be played in more and more strategies in the future if people are more inclined to practice with it. And that engine is the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation package. So, for those who don't know what this card is, it is a normal trap card, and this reads: if there are two or more different monsters among level 10 or higher monsters on the field, shuffle all cards except this one from both players' hands, fields, and graveyards into the deck. Then each player draws 5 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Crystal Beast monster and one field spell from your deck to your hand. You can only apply each effect once per duel. So, effect number one is essentially Fiber Jar. And Fiber Jar has been banned in the TCG for, I think, over 15 years now. So, this is a really, really powerful effect. The condition for its application involves 2 level 10 or higher monsters. If you're playing Centurion, that is not a really hard fulfillment to achieve. Uh, like already on your first turn, you're already having a level 12 monster on the board. If you're playing the Bestial engine like I am, you can get to level 10s as well as level 12 monsters. So that already fulfills this card's condition. But we're not playing this card because of the field effect. We're actually playing this card because of its graveyard effect. Uh, its graveyard effect essentially is a +2 if it resolves, grabbing you any field spell and just any monster as long as it's a Crystal Beast monster. So there has been a different amount of Crystal Beasts that have been played. We're just going to showcase you like 4 of them and explain like their applications. The most common one you'll see played alongside this engine is Cobalt Eagle. The reason you play Cobalt Eagle is because it does have its effect to place itself back into your deck, meaning that if you have a way to get to Rainbow Bridge of Salvation into your graveyard and you don't have the actual target for it, you can just put it back into your deck and it stops becoming a brick. Crystal Beast Emerald Tortoise has been played in the tier elements because it is an aqua monster, meaning that you can apply it in order to just use it as a material for Kaleido Heart. Since Kid Kalos is gone, this engine is a little bit more niche. However, in like an application like for example Master Duel format, this engine is actually very consistent because Kid Kalos is actually still in the game. Now let's talk about 2 newer ones. The first one I'll talk about is Topaz Tiger. The number one reason Topaz Tiger is a target to consider is because it has 1600 attack and it can gain 400 attack during the damage step, meaning that if your opponent ends on a board involving SP Little Knight, you can summon the Topaz Tiger and you can attack running over the SP Little Knight. It is also a level 4 monster, so if you're playing a strategy that can play rank 4s or just play Synchro 8s or Synchro 12s, like Centurion for example, this card is a natural fit in that strategy just because of its level, as well as its application to run over SP. And then you have Rainbow Dragon. Rainbow Dragon has been seen alongside another engine, and that engine is the Horus package. Basically, ImSeti works super well with Rainbow Bridge because in the options you actually draw the Rainbow Bridge. It is not actually a brick. You can just send it with ImSeti, and you can change the Rainbow Bridge to ImSeti's effect, and essentially you'll get a +3 if it resolves properly. This combo is very very strong, and one of the applications that makes Horus being played alongside Rainbow Bridge is because of Walls of the Imperial Tomb. Walls of the Imperial Tomb is a field spell that works naturally with the Horus engine. However, a lot of people don't like playing this engine, or like playing this card, because the card is a -1 in order to resolve. It's pretty much very similar to Small World, and how you are gaining a lot of advantage out of the card if it properly resolves, but having it be a natural -1 just becomes a risk factor for a lot of strategies. However, if you're playing the Rainbow Bridge engine, this minus is very circumvented, because not only are you adding the Walls of the Imperial Tomb, you're also adding a Crystal Beast monster, meaning that you can just shuffle back the Crystal Beast monster, worst case scenario, and this card becomes a 1-for-1 instead of a -1. So another card that we pair along Rainbow Bridge is Foolish Burial Goods. This card has already seen play in tournaments in the past. We've seen it for applications like sending Soliek, sending Black Goat, sending like a few other cards. In an engine like this one, just alongside Rainbow Bridge, this card is essentially just a better form of terraforming, with just a little bit more bricks, but with a stronger drawback. So if you're going to be playing this engine, you're naturally going to play this. Something that I've been seeing in the OCG, and I've been seeing it specifically with Centurion, is this card. We still don't have this card in the TCG yet, but this is Red Lotus King Flame Crime. So Red Lotus King reads, if this card is special summon, you can flip 400 damage. If this card is sent to a graveyard as a synchro material, you can send one normal trap from your deck to the graveyard. If you control a Fiend Tuner, you can also special summon this card. So in the future, if we see something like, for example, Fableds like popping off because of Fiendsmith, if we see an engine like, for example, the Vision Resonator package that I showcased earlier in the Centurion theme, this card has a natural application there. And the graveyard effect of this card just gives you a whole lot of advantage, because it just sends a normal trap, meaning that you just send the Rainbow Bridge, and the Rainbow Bridge can get you to stand up Centurion. But yeah, I've been seeing this being played in the OCG. So this is another engine to consider in the future if you are considering this package, whenever this card is released. So why am I talking about Rainbow Bridge? Like, obviously, its application in Centurion is very justified. However, one of the reasons I don't like playing this engine here is because Centurion already is naturally great against Droll and Lockbird. This engine just makes it so you're a little bit weaker to Droll. The other reason I don't play this engine is because the best way to utilize this engine is alongside the Horus theme. And in Snake Eye format, or pretty much a format where Fire King Snake Eye, the Fire King engine, and Promethean Princess are like being running around, I feel like the Horus package is just very weak. Like it won't be helping you breaking end boards because it's just going to like fall victim into like the fire cards. Uh, Imseti is a natural -1 if you try to use this effect, and Ash Blossom is being played like everywhere, so that also is a problem for this card. However, if we end up moving away from Snake Eye format, or we move away from the format where Droll and Ash are like very popular in the main deck, this card might be very powerful. Uh, like these are field spells that have been printed in the last 6 to 8 months, and some of these are very powerful. Like Noble Arms Museum is just a natural +1, and this card is not once per turn. We have the Divine Temple. We have the Earthbound Prison, which is a really strong going second card. We have the Memento and the Valmonica field spell, which are two like very good engine cards that you will be playing in your strategy, along as well as Centurion. You have the Earthbound Prison that works like a board breaking card, and that's not even counting Ascend, because Ascend do have a field spell, and their strategy does revolve around field spells, meaning that this engine might be played in an Ascend themed strategy, depending on how great is the next wave of support. But that's not all we're going to talk about. Like moving forward, we're going to be having other field spells. For example, we have Sangam Manor, which is a really strong card for the Tenpai Dragon strategy. This is like one of the key cards in that strategy, and one of the things that really make the deck being as remotely playable as it is at the moment in the OCG. You also have Nightmare Throne, which is a card that really pushes the Yubel strategy like to very high levels. You already seen me talk about that card. Let's talk about a card we haven't spoken about before, and this card is called Where There's a Will, There's a Way Out. So this card is not for whenever you go first. This card is for when you're going second. And the way this card works is during the main phase, the turn player can excavate cards from the top of your deck up to the number of cards your opponent controls. And if they do, you add one card to your hand. So essentially, this card becomes like a pot of prosperity whenever you're going second. The issue with this card is that one card in your hand has to go back to the bottom of your deck. However, if you are playing the Rainbow Bridge engine, you essentially turn Foolish Burial Goods into a 1-for-1 for this card. And then with this card, you just add the Excavated card into your hand. So if you play this card alongside Prosperity, or you just play this card as like another copy of Prosperity, or a card that is very similar to it, but without like damaging your extra deck, this card can be really strong for board breaking your opponent. Like if your opponent has a lot of cards on their board, this card can be a very total blow off against them. So they're pretty much going to want to stop this card if they can from resolving. And then we have the Mansion of the Underworld Dolls. I don't think I have to sugarcoat this. I think this is the best card that they've printed, not just for the Gimmick Puppet theme, but like one of the best cards that they have been printed in general. Like this card is incredibly absurd. If Gimme Puppet resolves this card properly, their win to loss ratio like goes up significantly, and just having an engine that can get to that field spell, and it's a +1, like upon resolution, just warrants mentioning in this video. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting and to your liking understanding. I pretty much just wanted to talk about this card because I do strongly think this card is really strong. If we were not in the current format that we were at right now, I probably would be playing in Centurion at the moment. Uh, Maybe I might applicate it to Centurion in the future. It really depends on like what other things I want to build alongside my strategy. And this card is really strong in like other strategies as well. There's nothing stopping you from playing cards like this, like for example in Kashtira, in Smanadium, in like other field spell decks. You can play this in Trick Stars. That's another example. But yeah, that's pretty much has been it. Keep practicing and keep doing.